What is the best photo editing software, best photo editing program for new photographers? It is a question I get asked a lot, and in this video I've got the answer for you. Now, Lightroom and Photoshop are amazing and I use them extensively in my professional photo editing work. I absolutely love these programs, but there's a problem for new photographers, and that is that the learning curve is insanely steep. But there are so many different alternatives out there, and I have tried most of them. I often get approached by photo editing companies saying, can you try our software? If you like it, would you be willing to promote it? And for the most part, a lot of them are very good, some mediocre, but some kind of stink. So I've come up with a list of 4 criteria that I think are important when you're considering what photo editor would be right for a new photographer. Number 1 is it easy to use and easy to learn? Number 2 is it inexpensive? Because you don't want to be over investing in something. And one of the problems with Lightroom and Photoshop is it's a subscription model. So you never own the software, but you're continually paying for it. Now, for me as a professional, it's just a business expense. But if you're a hobbyist, that kind of adds up over time. And the third thing I think is important is that even if the software is easy to use and get started with, will it grow with you? As you improve your photo editing skills, you want the software to be expansive so that it still supports you as you develop. And I think the fourth thing that's important is it well supported? Now, the software I'm proposing to you is Luminar AI, and I'm going to demonstrate it to you in this video. Now, while my ego would love to show you some real high-end, nice professional work that I've done, we're going to work on some family photos that I've taken on a recent trip around the North Island of New Zealand, just because I feel that's a little bit more relatable for people just getting started out on their photographic journey. The photos that I'll be sharing with you, it's not my finest work. Some of them are taken by my daughter, a lot of them are underexposed, but it's a really good set to showcase what Luminar can do because they don't look so great already. How easy is it to fix them? And then by seeing that, you can make up your own mind whether Luminar AI is the right photo editor to add to your photo toolkit. So let's take a look. Quick warning, it's not right for everybody, and at the end of the video I discuss who it is and isn't right for. So make sure you stay tuned for that before making any decisions. Okay, here are some photos from a recent trip I took away around New Zealand. What an amazing, stunning place it is that I live in. Oh, so lucky. But these are just a random collection of photos. Some of these even my daughter took. They're nothing too far out of the reach of anybody. And in fact, some of these are hideously underexposed, not quite right. Some photos you think, oh, it's over for this photo. So let's start with one that looks like that. Now I'm going to bypass the one-click fix templates right here and dive straight into the editing section. And I'm going to show you how with just a couple of changes we can fix this photo. First of all, come to the very top tool, Enhance AI. There is a reason this is at the top of the stack, because watch this. If I grab this Accent AI slider and push that all the way to 100, bammo, we have my family back. Hello family, let's see your family. Hello family. Luminar has brought back all of the detail into the photo. It's still a little underexposed for my liking, but we can do more. We can jump into Structure AI and we could start pushing some of that in there, and we're getting a little bit more contrast into the image. And if we do feel it's still too dark, just jump into the light section and we have an exposure slider, which if you're new to photography, hello, exposure is very important. It's just the brightening and darkening of your photos. And if I just bump that up, there we go. We've got my family back again. Let's look at our before, look at our after. There they are. Now I deliberately chose a very, very bad photo there. So if we look at our before, and we slide across to our after, we can see that we are recovering the details in the shadow. We've still got a nice photo to work with. My edit is by no means perfect, but I just wanted to show you that quick before and after. So before and after. So easy. Don't tell me you couldn't do this. Let's jump into our catalog and find a different one. I've picked out a few shots that I think would make good example photos. So let's just use some similar techniques and see if we can't salvage this one here. I've done a big no-no here. I've put my family in the shade. They've got speckled, dappled lighting on them. Big no-no, terrible photo. Let's jump into edit and see if we can fix it. The last panel we used is still open. I'm going to jump straight to that top bit again. Enhance AI. And let's crank that all the way to 100. And straight away, that is a marked improvement. Again, I feel the image was underexposed, so I can just boost the exposure up. And if I feel I want to bring more attention just to these guys in the middle, I can come to the vignetting tool. I can crank that down so I'm darkening the edges a little bit. And now I can just click in between all of them to say these guys are the important thing. So if you turn that off and you turn that on, it's pretty subtle, but it's helped. Let's look at our before and our after. Big improvement, right? Guys, I hope this video is useful to you. If it is, do me a favor, leave me a thumbs up. Also, if you want to learn more about Luminar, consider subscribing to the channel. I've got heaps of free training on it as well, and a particularly good getting started video that if you decide this is the right software for you, I'll put a link in the top corner somewhere, and you can go and check that video out once you've got yourself your copy of Luminar AI. And I do have a discount code below for you as well in the description. So yeah, let's get back to it. Let's come back to my catalogue again. Now compositionally, I really enjoy this photograph here. I really like this. But again, we are struggling from underexposure here in the shadows and overexposure in the highlights. So if I come into my edit section, again, let's just see what Enhance AI can do. Boom, one slider, fixed, move on, right? Game over. Mic drop, I'm out, boom. How easy is that? Don't tell me you can't do that. I love the fact that I can edit that photo with just one slider. Like, this is our before, this is our after. Personally, I do not think this is cheating because this looks how I saw it with my own eyes. It was the camera that was unable to capture it and shot it more like this. But when I'm stood there, I could see the clouds and the sky. So the fact that Luminar AI has basically done what might have taken me an hour to fix in Photoshop in a matter of seconds, I'm delighted with that. I think that's brilliant. All right, let's go back to the catalogue and see what else is going on. Now, this is a good example. This photograph here, Luminar will just load it up. You can see that little blue wave going across the logo in that top left. That's Luminar just analysing the photo so that it can apply its AI tools to it. Now, I know there's a problem with this photograph, and it's not just that it's got me in it. If I zoom in, it's just a little bit soft. It's not terrible, but because we're so small in the frame, I would like us much sharper. So if I come to our edit section, and I come to details, here we've got access to our sharpen slider. I'm going to push that all the way to 100. And just like that, if I turn this panel off and I turn it on, you can see that that's doing a great job of sharpening this photo up. Like, look at the grass down here. Turn it off, turn it on, happy days. I'll zoom out, come up to Enhance AI again, crank that Accent AI slider because I think that's a really, really powerful tool. Oftentimes 100 can be far too much, so if you just want to ease that into a point that you feel is acceptable, that's great. I'll come to Structure AI next and grab this slider, just push that amount up just so we get a little bit more crunch going on in these lovely rocks in the background. Incidentally, just as an aside, I took all of my really nice camera gear for a little walk around the left hand side here and all up round underneath this waterfall here. These rocks were super slippy and slidey, nearly killed myself. You nearly didn't have this video. I survived, happy days. As you can see, I've barely scratched the surface of what's available to you in terms of tools, but this isn't a video about going into the details of what everything does. I have many other videos on the YouTube channel that will show you that. So please, if you want to go ahead and get yourself this software and you want to learn more, subscribe to my channel for free training, happy days. Right now in the top right hand corner, I'm going to put a link to the Getting Started in Luminar. It's a 30-minute video that will explain pretty much everything you need to know to get up and running. But what I've shown you so far are very much what I would consider functional fixes. So we're taking the photos from a technically pretty poor place and we're correcting them. Luminar really excels in this section here which says creative. We've got so many great tools just to take your photos to the next level. And for this photo, because we've bleached out the sky, can't really see what's going on, let's see if we can introduce a sky using AI. So once upon a time, to put a new sky in, you would actually need to mask out manually all of these trees, all of this foreground, so that you can realistically put a sky in. And to do it realistically is exceptionally hard, trust me. But here we've got Sky AI. All we need to do is just come to the sky selection. We can choose a blue sky. And just like that, Luminar has created a mask around all the trees and dropped that sky in. If for whatever reason it's not perfect, there are other sliders in here that can help you refine the look of your sky. Like we can defocus the sky, for example. We can use the sky exposure to brighten it up. Now the masking has done what I would consider for a one-click fix, an exceptional job. It's not always perfect. You can see over the water here, it's just bleeding a little bit of blue in, but it's such an easy fix. You can come to Add Mask and just get the eraser tool here, and you can just paint away that effect from where you don't want it. So if I just do a couple of strokes over the waterfall, and now we turn the sky off and on, you can see that we've brought back our sky. We've got a lovely family photo. We know that the detail's there. It's nice and sharp. I could print that meter wide or more, put it on our wall, and my wife would be very happy. And more importantly than anything else in this video, you know it, I know it, happy wife, happy life. Now I feel like I'm getting carried away a little bit, but I want to show you more. Let's come back into all photos. Let me scroll down. Let me see something else that we can do. Okay, I'm going to work on this photograph here. I'm going to jump up to edit. We're going to scroll back up to the top, and we're going to do a little bit more with this one. Okay, you don't want to see me edit this photo. It is too bad. This photo actually means so much to me, and I've got a few reasons why. You don't need to hear them, but I'm going to tell you anyway. My daughter and I actually parked the car having seen these horses standing underneath this tree exactly like they are here. And we safely parked the car probably nearly a kilometre away, like just over half a mile away. And we walked all the way back to where these guys were. And I'm thinking, there is no way they're still going to be standing there facing each other perfectly like this. But sure enough, they were. And on this particular holiday, my daughter had just started showing an interest in photography, and the fact that we went together to photograph these horses, it was just a beautiful moment. And it sounds silly, but I get choked up just thinking about it because it was such a beautiful moment that we shared. And here's another point for you new photographers. When you're taking photos, if there is an underlying story within the image that you're capturing, your image is going to be so much more powerful. But for me, I love this image because we have a black horse and a white horse standing together in perfect harmony within this environment. And for sure, that's the photographer in me reading into imagery, but I love the message within that. I just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you watching this, and everybody is welcome on this channel. So let's see if we can't get what I think is a lovely raw photograph looking really great. So let's play with the Accent AI. Let's boost that up. And for this one, I think pushing it to 100 is far, far too much. So let's ease that back down. If we get the sky enhancer, see how that's bringing back that lovely blue in the sky and the clouds. We are going to use one of the creative tools called Mystical here, and I really love this because it just gives everything a kind of soft, dreamy and ethereal kind of look. And I think this photo is a perfect candidate for that style. And now in this one, I feel that the horses are just getting a little bit lost because they are in the shadows. So now while this is a little more advanced and you may not want to jump into stuff like this straight away, I just want to show you the possibilities of this program. So let's use our vignette tool just to darken everything down around the edges, and I'm going to bring the size right in because we're going to get it just to fit around the horses. So at the moment it's the center of the photo which is remaining bright. But what we can do is just use that choose subject and click on the horses here. And now if we want to, we can just ease that amount off just a little bit so it's not too aggressive. And the next thing I'm going to show you is the next layer of complexity of this program. And that's with something called local masking. And you can add a basic local mask, and that allows you to do things like darken or brighten the image up, but then you can paint that effect exactly where you want it. So if I want to darken down the grass in the foreground here, all I need to do is choose my paintbrush tool, make it just slightly bigger so we can do this a bit quicker, and we can also increase the opacity, that's the strength of it, to 100, and I can just click over here on the left and bring a line over towards the right hand side. When I let go, that mask that we created, that darkening, has been applied. So the brightness that was on the floor, that's been dulled down, and our attention is going more to these horses all the time. We can add another local mask in which we can bring more attention to the horses, where we can bring the exposure up. We could even boost the shadows so that we can see more of the darker horse and the tree trunk. And we could even increase a bit of structure. So as you can see, that's applying that to the whole image. So what you need to do is just focus in on the area that you're going to be changing and look at that area, and then you can just paint that in over the area that you want it applied. See how they suddenly got so much brighter? And if you need to refine the mask, you can do that and just paint it away from the areas that you don't want it. And if I think the black horse needs that a little bit more than the bright white horse, we can take some of that effect away from the white horse. And you can always use this toggle switch here to see the before and the after of the particular effect you've applied, or you can come all the way up to this eyeball switch here and just see our before and our after. Now this is a really great opportunity to show you something else that I think is really awesome with this program. I feel like I've totally overcooked this. I think I've gone too far. If we look at our before and our after, this is just too much. I like the general direction, but I feel like I'm far too strong. So what the program allows us to do with this slider in the bottom right hand side is just grab that, and as we take that to the left, that takes away the effect that we created. So that's 100%, that's 0, and we could say, well, we didn't want 100%, that was far too much, and we can just ease it back to a place where we feel much happier, maybe just around 50%. And now we've got our before and our after. I think that's much more natural looking, and I really like that edit. Guys, I could stop there, but I want to show you just one more thing, because the big thing with Luminar AI when it was released was it has artificial intelligence that can analyze your photos and suggest edits for you, which is just mind-blowingly crazy. So if I jump into landscapes, and we could just choose any landscape at will. Let's go with this underexposed nightmare here. And now I'll come up to the template section, and you'll see here we have for this photo. And Luminar has basically analyzed this image here, and it knows that it's a landscape, and it's suggesting the sunsets collection. So within the sunsets collection, all I need to do is just choose one. We've got dream film, that might be nice. Impact, that's another nice option. The template below it, Toscana. This one even has its own sky replacement built into the template. If we jump back to the template section, you can see that we've got other suggestions. We've got artistic, we've got scenery, but this is just a guide. You don't need to go with that. We could come down straight into the landscape section itself and just choose easy landscapes and go for clean light, for example. Forest stream is one that I quite like because it boosts the colors up. But whereas the templates often do a really good job at fixing things with just one click, sometimes you need to go a little bit further, and you can do that. Just come into your edit section again, select your tools and come out of that local masking section we had been in, and we can just bring our Accent AI slider up a little more heavily, and all of a sudden you can see more detail in the tree there, and that looks much better. Here's our before, here's our after. While the templates are there and they're a really great starting point for a lot of people, personally I prefer just to jump straight past those and come into the edit section myself. But while you're building the confidence to do that, you can just stick with the templates. But look, nothing's going to go wrong, and if you make any mistakes with your editing, you can just come into the history section, which is just here, and if you want, you can just click original, and that will send you right back to the beginning. Super easy. So we've kind of scratched the surface there of what Luminar AI is capable of, but hopefully it's given you a good idea as to whether or not you think this is the right photo editing software for you. Now, before I go full circle and revisit those 4 criteria that defined whether or not I think this is a good fit for a new photographer, I just want to make it clear that this is not the right software for everybody. And I'll tell you a group of people who I think should run for the hills and avoid this like the plague. If you have a computer, laptop, Mac, whatever, that is old, that is underpowered, just forget Luminar AI straight away. Because what much of this program is doing is based around artificial intelligence, you're asking a lot of your computer's CPU. And so if your computer just doesn't have the memory, doesn't have the processing power, your user experience is not going to be great. So if your computer is just a little bit weak, just avoid Luminar AI. But if that's not you, let's consider the points. Is Luminar AI easy to learn and use? I think absolutely. The fact that you can just do a one-click fix with the templates, that's just insanely powerful, and it's so easy just to get you started. If you want to delve a little deeper and start looking at those tools, that Accent AI tool that I showed you, just with that one slider, you can improve your photos. So yeah, it's super easy to use. The second thing was, is it good value? So I look at it this way. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on my camera equipment. Now, while you may not have invested that heavily, you've probably still put a reasonable amount of your money into your camera equipment. And comparatively, just dropping around $100 to get yourself an amazing bit of software that's going to be able to edit all of your photos, I think it's just a pebble in the ocean in comparative terms. So does Luminar AI represent excellent value? I think checkbox, absolutely yes. You pay once, you own it forever, happy days. As I mentioned, Adobe runs a subscription model, so you're forever paying, you never own it. Luminar for the win. The third thing was, does the software have powerful tools that grow with you as your skill? The third thing was, does the software have powerful tools that will grow as your skill set grows? And I say absolutely. I've recently been using Luminar AI for my high-end architectural photography. I use it for editing my landscapes, and I use the portrait AI tools to quickly retouch corporate headshots. So to go from a one-click template to part of my professional workflow, I think absolutely it ticks that box as well. So basically, when you start out, Luminar AI can hold your hand along your photographic journey, and then when you become more accomplished, it says be free and go edit, dive into those tools and play around. And that's what I like to do, and that's where I get the most enjoyment from it. And now I come to think of it, that's actually a massive point as well. Do you enjoy using the software? For me, I love it. I love just grabbing those sliders and playing around with it and seeing what you can do. The creative tools inside of it are absolutely phenomenal. And it's just so freeing from the complexities of Photoshop. So I'm going to leave you with the fourth point, which is it well supported? And I'd just like to point you towards my channel, which is full of free content to help you guys get up and running with Luminar AI. I deep dive into several of the tools, show you my workflow for that architecture I mentioned before, all sorts of stuff, editing landscapes. It's all there on my channel. So if that's something you're interested in, please go ahead and subscribe. Also, if you want to get yourself a discount on Luminar AI, I have a discount code which is @Sky10. You are certainly welcome to use that. And by using that link, it also helps me out. I get a small commission, and that just helps me keep providing free content for you guys. And having said that, that brings up another point. I just want to say this is not a paid endorsement or anything like that. I'm free to recommend any software that I want to, and I genuinely feel that this is the best for beginner photographers. So I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please do me a favor and leave a thumbs up, because a hearty thumbs up and a comment goes a long way. And guys, I'm going a bit crazy now, so I'll leave the video there. I'm just gonna slide off my chair now. Goodbye. I've never finished a video by sliding off my chair before. That is a first. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya. What are you still doing here? Get out of here. Go buy Luminar, would you already? You know you want to. I'm looking at my screen. I don't even know what I'm doing now. I do. I'm cutting this video together. It's going to take ages. Do you know how long it takes to cut videos together? Do you know how long it takes to record videos? I'll tell you how long it takes to record videos. I shot the whole thing with the Nikon Z6. And unfortunately, it was all out of focus, the whole damn thing. So I've had to redo everything right from the start. So I hope you like this video. It's worth a thumbs up. It's worth several thumbs up. Do it. See you later. Stupid Z6.